What's up? It's K.Honesty, and I'm about to review Power Book 2 Ghost Season 3 Episode 7. So if you haven't seen the 7th episode of Power Ghost Book 2 Season 3, then turn this video off. Go watch the episode and come back and watch this video. Anything I say is my opinion. It does not reflect anyone or anything associated with the show. These are my thoughts and expressions and how I feel. Yeah, I'm not a public speaker, so I will tend to say like 1,000 times, so like 1,000 times. I might pause to regain my thoughts. I will definitely be looking over here to my notes while I'm doing this. And I'm also texting with this dental office trying to get some codeine pills until my dentist appointment next week because my tooth is bothering me, so I might be a little distracted, but I should still be on point with what I'm talking about. And lastly, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Those are the two main things. If you like to share and hit the notification bell, you can. But please just like and subscribe to my channel. It's quick, it's easy, it's free, all that. And I'm going to give you a minute to go do that. Go do that right quick. All you got to do is expand the screen and then hit like and subscribe. Alrighty. Last chance, if you haven't seen the 7th episode of Power Book 2 Ghost Season 3, turn this video off because I'm about to spoil the entire episode. I like to grade the episodes. Oh yeah, you know I got my handy dandy water bottle, so I'm gonna definitely be drinking from this while I'm talking. But yeah. That first little swig was good. But yeah, I like to grade the episodes before and after my reviews, and I'm going to grade this episode A+ because it was lit. It was lit. It gave me a whole bunch of all snap moments. A lot of stuff got revealed to different people this episode, so I was definitely with it. Definitely with it. All right, let's get into it. So we get this first scene. So mind you, damn, what did they do the last episode to the Russians? I can't even remember. Oh yeah, Drew went and killed one of the Russians. So they retaliated. They retaliated at the funeral, but ain't nobody get hit at Lorenzo's funeral. So now they're retaliating on the streets and stuff, just hitting all Kane's people up. One of the niggas texting Kane like the Russians came and hit us up, this, that, and the third. So Gordo and Monet, they meet up. He like, why you texting me? You want 911? So she telling them, she telling Gordo he needs to stop doing what he doing with Drew. Like, stop messing with Drew. So Gordo's like, he's like, I thought you called me here to talk about the Russians. Monet was like, she was like, it's your fault for pinning Lorenzo's murder on the Russians. She telling Gordo, I'm not about to let you get Drew all mixed up in this and all this other stuff. But he already is. Like, Drew already mixed up in it. He the one killed the Russian and got this war started in the first place. So what you mean he on? I was just like, whatever. So she tells Gordo to back off Drew again. Man, I got weed on my tongue. And Gordo starts laughing. My neighbor's like, what's so funny? What'd he say? Damn, where am I? Oh yeah, so damn, I need to close this up more. Shit keep landing on my tongue. So she was like, what's so funny? Because Gordo laughing. He was like, you're not scared about the Russians hurting Drew. She was like, you more scared about him finding out that you had something to do with Lorenzo's death. God damn. What is up with this jump? Got the pull piece closed, small as hell. Why does this shit keep landing on my tongue? That's annoying. I'm sorry, like, that's annoying as hell. Every hit, something on your tongue. And the pull piece not even that wide. It's annoying. Anyway, he tells Monet, like, you're not scared of the Russians hurting Drew. You more scared that he gonna find out you the reason his father did this, that, and third. So Monet was like, that's a problem for both of us. Gordo was like, well, now if we keep our mouth shut. And Monet was like, what, you threatening me? And Gordo was like, I'm just telling you. He's like, I'm going to keep seeing Drew and ain't nothing you can do about it. So then Monet text Kane and say they need to have a meeting. So I'm like, Monet don't like disrespect. So I'm wondering how she gonna play this with Gordo, and we see in the end. She got his ass good in the end. So Lauren and Tariq, they on the phone. Lauren like, what do you want, Tariq? Tariq was like, I just want to get us out of this, but I need to know first what the feds have on me. So she was like, why would they tell you? You're the whole reason my life got taken away, yada, yada, yada. Tariq was like, look, I'm trying to fix it. I'm sorry. This, that, and the third. So he was like, so Lauren was like, well, they're telling me that you're a monster. Tariq was like, well, if I'm a monster, I was made into one. That's exactly what Saxe was telling her. Like, Tommy, Ghost, Tasha made him into the monster he is, basically. So she was like, you don't care about, you don't care who you hurt, as long as you get what you want, this, that, and the third. She was like, me, your sister. Tariq was like, my sister. Like, basically, how the hell she know about that? So Tariq was like, look, tells her about Ray Ray. Like, Ray Ray was a dirty cop who killed my sister. So he had it, like, basically he had it coming. He was like, did they tell you that? That he was a dirty cop or whatever? He was telling Lauren, did they tell you that? Lauren was like, nah, they didn't tell me that. So Tariq was like, charge me up. He was like, judge me all you want, but I did what I had to do to protect my family. He was like, I'm still trying to do that for you. He's like, I know you're trying to get back to your family, so am I. He's just trying to bait her in and find out what Lauren knows. But at the same time, he still cares for Lauren, so it ain't like this stuff he's saying is way off, you know? So Lauren was like, that's why we should cooperate with the feds, testify, get our lives back. Tariq was like, that's not an option for him. Like, he working with Noma, the Tejadas, he got David. Like, that's not an option for Tariq. He was like, if I don't get a bullet from testifying, I'm gonna get thrown in. We're gonna get thrown into witness protection, and we won't see our families again. He was like, if you really want your old life back, you got to give me this information. You got to tell me what they know. Lauren was still like, she don't trust Tariq. Tariq was like, I'm gonna get you there. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get you there, get her trusting him. So then we get a little sex scene with Brayden. He tearing Kiki out. She's like, I'm coming. So I know he was just seen with some black girl dancing on TikTok, some famous rapper, actor, or something, daughter. I don't remember. I just seen it too. That's how burnt out I am. So after they finished doing it or whatever, Kiki was like, you okay, Brayden? So he was like, he distracted. Things between him and Tariq not good. I was just like, nigga, you were just crushing and you was thinking about Tariq the whole time? That's weird. But he says, yeah, things between me and Tariq not good. He's like, it's never been like that between us. This, that, and the third. He was like, well, friends come and go. Just cry about it and move on. Brayden was like, well, he's not just my friend. Like, he my brother. Like, Tariq, like, they supposed to be like brothers. They came from Cho together. I think that's where they met. So Kiki was like, your brother or your business partner? And I liked Kiki at first, but after this episode, I was like, damn, Kiki. So she was like, your brother or your business partner? Brayden makes a little face. So then Kiki just flat out says, I know you and Tariq been selling drugs out of Western Holdings. So Brayden, he sits to sit up straight. He was like, what are you talking about? So then Kiki was like, I helped you create a paper trail for $2 million, for a $2 million cash deposit. Like, I know what's going on. So Brayden was just like, well, my client doesn't trust banks and this, that, third, just trying to keep up the front for that little minute. But Brayden can't hold water for nothing. So she was like, well, explain the Cash Coin, the coffee app. She was like, an app that only you have access to, telling this to Brayden, like only Brayden has access to, and that only sells coffee. She was like, and the false bottoms are perfect for drugs, for storing drugs. Brayden was like, well, air pockets keep the coffee hot. He was still trying. She was like, you admitted to being the kingpin of Stansfield and their drug operation. So why can't you just admit that you're doing the same thing here at Western Holdings? So, you know, Braden, this nigga, when he say the fuck, that nigga's about to give in. So he gets the fuck. So he tells her, he like, what he say? She was like, relax, I'm not going to say anything. She was like, the operation is pretty ingenious. She was like, I'm impressed. So Braden was like, well, you know, Tariq handles all the product and all that, and I'm the one that created the app, this, then the third. He was like, I came up with Crash Coin. And Kiki was like, well, the app is more difficult than people may seem, but you did it super well. She was like, if you the one with the, she said, if you the one with the big ideas, then why are you sitting right here sulking over Tariq? Braden makes another face. I'm like, girl, Braden, don't listen to this broad and have her make you betray your brother or something like that. Then Braden gets a text from Kane saying emergency meeting. So from my perspective, I don't know. I could be wrong. But I don't remember Monet being in the warehouse with I don't remember her ever being at the warehouse with them. At the coffee warehouse. So I think this is her first time being there. So this is her first time being at the warehouse. She see all the weight that Noma and them done been distributing to them. She like, damn, she's like, Noma ain't no joke. The whole warehouse filled with product. So she tells Kane, she was like, you should have kept me in the loop, this, that, and the third. She was like, but she was like, the Russians hit us and all that. She was like, I need ideas, basically. She was like, I need ideas on how to handle the Russians. So Kane was like, don't look at Taylor Swift. Every time Kane says Braden on this show, he doesn't even say his name. He calls Braden a different white person every time. He did call that nigga Channing Tatum. I don't even remember, but now he calls this nigga Taylor Swift. So he was like, don't look at Taylor Swift. Like, trust me, he can't handle the Russians. So Monet was like, all right, well, Kane, let's hear your big ideas. Kane was like, well, you the boss, right? So Monet was like, man, where's Drew? Kane was like, him and Gordo pulling product off the streets. He was like, the money from the Ivy Leagues, basically Wall Street and all that, that's going to keep them afloat, keep the cash flow coming. Kane was like, I got this. Monet was like, man, that works for now, but we can't be off the streets too long because, you know, the Russians, they'll take our turf if we off the streets too long. So Monet looking at Tariq, she's like, you got anything to say? Tariq don't look up, say nothing. So here go Kane. What'd he say? He was like, oh, but he just mad because we killed this little wire-wearing bitch. I was just like, bruh, Kane just be saying anything, bruh. He do not care. He was like, he just mad because we killed this little wire-wearing bitch. Then Tariq looks up. And Monet was like, wire? Kane was like, no, it's been handled. It's been handled. So Monet tells Kane and Braden to get out. He's like, oh, y'all get out except for Tariq. So she like, Tariq, what's up? Like, what's going on with you? So Tariq was like, man, you heard Kane. Went behind my back, killed Lauren. Monet was like, yeah, that's fucked up, but you upset about a wire-wearing bitch? I'm dead. They keep calling on a wire-wearing bitch. That's hilarious. But she was like, you upset about a wire-wearing bitch? Tariq was like, the trial was over. Monet was like, well, it sounds like she was a loose end and needed to be cut. So she was like, it sounds like she's a loose end and loose ends need to be cut before they come back to hang you. I was like, dang, I mean, the game they in, she right. I'm glad I brought the scissors over here this time because the motherfucking J is bleeding. That shit's annoying. So she was like, yeah, loose ends need to be cut so they won't come back to hang you. Tariq was like, but you know, the cops know now that she was murdered and now they're investigating me. He was like, all eyes on me. I'm hot as fuck right now. So when they was like, you ain't kill her, so you ain't got nothing to worry about. When they was like, you should be thanking whoever killed her. He was like, I got problems with no solution, and you like my brain. She was like, you my thinker. She was like, so think. So Tariq was like, all right. He was like, so he asked her, he was like, do the Costellos know when the next Russian shipment is? And they was like, Drew could find out why. What's up? Tariq was like, he could call in a favor and get the cops to seize the Russians' next shipment. So they don't have nothing to sell. They can't sell on the Tahada's turf. He was like, and plus with all the heat on them, it'd be too hot for them to try to retaliate on us. Like the war would die down because they had to stay inside or whatever. So Monet was like, that's a bet. That's a plan. Like, I'm glad you stopped acting like a little bitch, Tariq. I was just like, Tariq be letting the Tahadas play with him, bro. I don't like that. I don't like that for him. And I was like, now you see what Kane get his smart mouth and his bullshit from on their ass. So remember Sax went to Tate to try to get the commutation for Rollins. But apparently Tate couldn't get it. Sax telling Davis Tate couldn't get the commutation. But he was able to get them an expedited parole hearing. You know, I be having to put this shit word for word because I don't be knowing the stuff, shall. So he was like, we won't be asked anything super groundbreaking. He was like, as long as Rollins comes off sincere, he has a shot at parole. So he says, so Sax was like, I'll make sure Rollins is ready for it. I'll make sure he's prepared, all that. So then Davis asked, he was like, is there any information on Lauren's possible attempted murder? Is there any information on Lauren's murder? Because, you know, Davis still thinks Lauren's dead, too. So Sax was like, well, the authorities believe it was a car accident. That's what it says. It says there's no investigation. So Davis was like, are you sure? Because Tariq seems pretty convinced. So Sax was like, well, Tariq just being paranoid. He was like, wouldn't you be if he was in Tariq's situation? Oh, and while they had this whole conversation, they was in the little cell waiting for Rollins to come in. Little holding jump, whatever they to talk to the people that's locked up, whatever. And might I say, I'm upset because in season 1 or season 2, whenever they introduced Davis's brother, he was played by Redman, and I was like, yes, I love that this is actual family, and I liked it that it was Redman. We had Redman and Method Man, but they done switched his brother out to some other dude. So his brother comes in, Rollins. He comes in. He was like, I'm nervous. Sax was like, this is the practice run. You'll be totally fine. So then he starts asking Rollins the practice question. He was like, do you admit your guilt? This nigga Rollins was saying some wows. I thought he was playing the whole time, but at the end of this, you found out he's not playing. So he asked Rollins, does he admit his guilt? Rollins says, what did he say? Rollins was like, yeah, I admitted it when I took the plea deal. That was a stupid question. So you know, Davis keep chiming in. He was like, that's disrespectful. That's not the way, brother. He was like, disrespect is not the way, brother. So then Sax asked Rollins if he has any remorse about what he did. Rollins was like, yeah, I pray on it every day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. He was like, I even pray on it when I'm on the toilet. So then Davis chimes in again. He was like, less is more, brother. Like, he's like, you don't got to be so specific. So then Sax asked Rollins, how will he make himself a productive member of society? Rollins was like, I never thought about it like that. Sax was like, well, you must have some idea. He was like, Rollins was like, I never thought of anything. Sax was like, you must have some idea. Rollins was like, well, I never thought I was going to get out. So then they stopped the questioning. Davis come up to his brother and like, you did great, brother. Rollins was like, well, y'all don't look too happy with my answers. So I was like, this nigga was serious. Like, I thought he was just being funny because it was just them in there shooting shit, his brother in there. But when he get in front of the actual people, he would know what to say. But Apparently he was serious. So he was like, y'all don't look too happy with what I had to say. So then Davis was like, it just needs a little polishing. You be good. Rollins was like, well, we both knew parole would just be a long shot. He was like, I'm at peace with it either way. Davis was like, no, we getting you out of here. He was like, the first place we gonna go. He talks about some helicopter dock they went to when they was kids. He was like, I don't know why my brother loved it there so much. Rollins was like, well, for that, I'll do better. He's like, I'll do better. And then he leaves. Sax asked Davis, he was like, you alright? Davis was like, fuck no, man. He's like, my brother gonna die in here. So Sax was like, he still got a chance. Davis was like, well, you saw how he just did. And Sax was like, it ain't over. It might be another way. So I'm like, oh, what's... Because, you know, Sax trying to do anything he can to get this brother out so he can add this, so he can feel like... Because he thinks Davis going to trust him more. But it's too late for that. But we're going to wait till we get to the end. So we get to the scene. The Castillos, they packing up their product or whatever because, you know, Gordo and Drew went with them to take it off the streets. So Gordo was like, it's all off the streets. And one of the Castillo guys, I don't know none of their names. I'm assuming they Gordo's brothers, they Castillos. One of them say to Drew, like, he should be, why he here? He should be at home protecting his own or whatever. So Drew was like, oh, I'll leave. He was like, I just want to know when the next Russian drug shipment is. Like, not even subtle about it. He was super hot about it. God damn, this don't scrolled up. Okay, yeah, I'm right here. Yeah, so Drew wasn't even subtle about it. He was like, oh, I'll leave. I just want to know when the next Russian drug shipment is. So they was like, why? And they was like, the Russians will know it's us, whatever you planning. Drew was like, look, me and my people, we got a plan. It's to neutralize the Russians. Won't fall back on y'all, this, that, and the third. So one of the other guys, he was like, we ain't signed up for this. He's like, we need to renegotiate our deal with the Tejadas. He was like, bigger risk involves bigger cuts. He was like 50-50. Drew was like, there's no way we can do that. There's no way our peoples could do that. So one of the other guys, he clicked his gun. It was like, you sure about that? Gordon was like, you kidding me? What you doing? He was like, he helped us kill Paolo. I said Pablo. He helped us kill Paolo. He's like, this involves all of us. So another guy was like, what'd he say? He says to Gordo, he was like, this is business. Something your dick can't seem to understand. So I was like, okay, so his brothers know that him and Drew is smashing. So we find out this episode that Gordo's people know that Drew's smashing them. And Drew's people know that he's smashing Gordo. But Monet already knew. We found that out, last episode when he came up on the porch. And they was having that talk. So Gordo was like, this has nothing to do with Drew. It's like, our fathers were practically blood, and the Tejadas are like family. So he's like, so we're going to stand by them. It's what our father would have wanted. So another guy was like, well, let's vote. Then he was like, but after Drew leaves. So now Sax is telling Jenny about the practice run-in with Rollins. Jenny was like, it couldn't have been that bad. Sax was like, well, you wasn't there. He was like, but I can fix it. He was like, he tells Jenny, he was like, I need you to swap somebody out. What does he say? He said, I need you to swap one of the members of Rollins' parole panel out for somebody who will take a bribe and guarantee his release. So I'm like, here you go, being shady again, just like Blanca said he would. I mean, I get you doing all this, but at what extent, you know? So I'm just like, I don't know. What is he going to do? I mean, what is she going to do? Is she going to do it? So Jenny was like, I don't know. Entrapment is messy. Sax was like, well, Davis is the concierge of this criminal organization. If I want to get in his good graces, then I have to get more information. I mean, how am I going to get more information if this doesn't go through? So he was like, that's how I get more information for the Rico case. And Jenny was like, well, you've been saying this for months. Which he has. He's been saying this the whole time. He's been keeping stuff from her. So it's like a tit for tat thing. So said then Sachs finally tells her about him finding Whitman's files in Davis's office. So Jenny was like, oh, way to bury the lead. Why you ain't been telling me this? So Sachs was like, well, it's easy for you to just stay in here, keep your hands clean while I'm out there doing the dirty work and stuff. So Jenny was like, just chill, Sachs. She got this info now. She's still trying to be on his good side because she need him. Her case depends on him because he's supposed to be her CI. So, you know, she's trying to stay in his good graces. I wonder if they still like fucking. So she tells Sachs, she's like, chill. Sachs was like, nah, you lied to my face and it's fucked up. So Jenny was like, how can we move past it? Sachs was like, nah, we're not moving past nothing. Jenny's apologizing. She just doing a lot of apologizing. Sachs was like, fuck, you're sorry, Jenny. He was like, I'm working with you to bring these motherfuckers down, but if you what'd he say? He was like, if you loud blindside me again, I won't hesitate to burn your ass. He was like, are we clear? She was like, yeah, we're clear. So then Sachs asked Jenny, he was like, is there any way somebody in the DA's office could have tipped off Tariq about Lauren's investigation? So Jenny was like, nope, we're completely siloed. I don't know what the hell siloed means. That's why I put it in there. Because she was like, we're completely siloed. She was like, why? And Sachs was like, well, Tariq seems to know something. And Jenny was like, absolutely not. No, Sachs was like, Tariq seems to know something. He was like, do you think that Lauren could have said something to him? And Jenny was like, absolutely not. And I was like, why not, bitch? You had lost her for a whole night. You don't know what she could have did. She told you she was at her parents' house. But she was like, nope, absolutely not. She was like, why would Lauren put herself in jeopardy by talking to that murderer? But like she keep telling you, she don't think Tariq had anything to do with it. So in her eyes, she don't see Tariq as a murderer because she don't know anything besides what Sachs and Jenny is telling her. And she got these feelings for Tariq. So Tate and Tariq meet up. And like I told you, I love how he could just code switch. That shit, I like his character. He be just code switching. I like that. So Tate was like, because Tariq looking around, you know he's suspicious now. You know this investigation against him. He looking around. He being hella suspicious. So Tate sees this. He was like, nigga, would you follow? So he was like, man, I'm already down the polls. I can't be seen talking to you. So Tariq was like, look, I got something that could probably help you with that. Help you get your numbers back up. Help your campaign, da-da-da. So here goes Tate. Clock's ticking, nigga. Tick, tick. So Tariq tells Tate, he was like, he tells Tate when and where the Russian drug shipment gonna be at. He was like, I'm sure you can get your friends at the NYPD to come in and take the bus. You can take credit for it. This and the third. So Tate was like, I know you ain't gonna burn me like last time. So Tariq was like, he was like, the Russians fucking with his business, so it's payback. He was like, it's a win-win for both of us. So Tate was like, you are a smart businessman, Tariq. He was like, for this quid, I'll quo. So Tate leaves, and then Tariq calls Davis. He was like, you heard anything about Lauren's investigation? So Davis was like, well, there's no investigation. Sachs said so himself. And Tariq was like, well, either Sachs don't know or he lying about it. So Davis was like, what makes you so sure? Tariq was like, I just am. So I remember last episode, I didn't know whether or not, well, they never showed Tariq even telling Davis that it might be an investigation on him. They just showed him asking. They showed Davis asking Sachs out of nowhere. So I was wondering, did he tell Davis that Lauren was alive too? But we found out in this moment he doesn't. He didn't. So then we get to see Monet in her house. She kikiing with the dude Kai that was supposed to be they connect, but he turned him down and he was making passes at Monet at Lorenzo's repass. He's also the dude from the Wood. I love mentioning that because he was my favorite one on the Wood. Well, he was the main one on the Wood. So he in there. He still him and Monet like low key flirting. It was weird. So then Drew walks in. Monet was like, Drew, Kai been waiting on you. So Kai was like, oh, don't worry, I always got time for y'all family, this, then the third. Drew was like, oh, that's not what you said when we came to you to be our connect, this, then. So Monet was like, Drew, stop. And I was like, why she trying to get in this nigga good girl? But I remember her saying something about, at the repast saying that they might need him or something. So I was like, that's why she trying to be in his good graces. So she was like, Drew, stop. Monet, and then Kai was like, what'd he say? He was like, it's okay, y'all still grieve, we all still grieving. He was like, I promise we gonna find out what happened to Lorenzo. This, that, and the third. So Monet was like, well, that's actually why I called you here. She was like, I know you got beef with the Russians, and we having some problems with them. It would just be easier to take them down. And Kai was like, well, it's not a good time because you know, 12 of my men got picked up off the street a month ago. So I'm just like short-handed. So then Drew was like, you told me to get vengeance for Poppy and now we at war and you can't help? So then Kai gets up and was like, any man with balls would want to have vengeance. I mean, what did he say? He said any son with balls would want revenge for his father. Drew get ticked off trying to come at Kai. Monet kind of like pushing, interject. She's like, enough. So Monet was like, I understand, Kai, you got business to handle. She's like, let me walk you out. So as she walking him out, she's like, I'm sorry about Drew's mouth. She was like, thank you for coming. She was like, I'll stop by soon. Kai was like, I'm going to hold you to that. Monet was like, you do that. So then Kai kisses her on the cheek. I was just like, ugh. And he leaves. So I was like, I was thinking she ain't going to come see him no time soon. Whole time. And I was in my head like, Monet, please don't start talking to this dude. But I found out later that she don't. And then I was like, she probably just trying to butter him up so he can help with the Russians. But I was like, but don't give up that box for that. So Monet goes to Drew. She was like, you trying to make us lose an ally? And Drew was like, what'd he say? He was like, that nigga ain't shit, talking about Kai. He was like, that nigga ain't shit. He was like, I see the way he look at you. He was like, Poppy's body ain't even cold, and he doing all this. Yeah, he eating wine and cheese and shit. So Monet was like, and the Russians are raining down fire on us, and we can use all the help we can get. So Monet was like, all we got is some corner boys and the Castillos. Then Drew was like, fuck, we might not even have the Castillos. He was like, they asking for a bigger cut, 50-50. Monet was like, why you can't never bring me no good news? You can't never bring me no good news for once. So Drew was like, Gordo gonna try to talk them out of it. He was like, Gordo said that Frank would have wanted it that way and that we like family. Tell him what Monet all this. Monet was like, well, hopefully they listen to him. Shit. So then Monet was like, I'm glad you got that on lock, Drew. So Drew was like, it's not even like that. Monet was like, stop it, I'm your mother, I know. So she was like, I see the way Drew look at you. She was like, I see the way Gordo look at you. She was like, that boy whipped. So they started laughing. I was like, oh, Lord, here we go. She was like, that boy whipped. What'd she say? Drew was like, well, I feel like me and Gordo could actually, like, be something. He was like, is that crazy? Monet was like, well, no crazier than me and your father. She was like, we built a life together. She was like, you can too. She's like, but just remember that just because you and you and Gordo on the same page, that don't mean that his family is. She was like, always have his ear and not the other way around. Don't let his family have his ear. She was like, you want to stay for dinner? He was like, nah, man, Kane got to handle some business tonight. Monday was like, I tell Kane to call me. And I was like, why can't she just call Kane or text him? I don't know. I just thought that was weird. They say, I love you. Drew leaves. So I finally found out Light Skin Keisha's name on this show. And no wonder they don't say it aloud. I mean, she don't get no scenes where they have to say her name. But her name is Bruchandria. Bruchandria. I remember them having a classroom scene where she talked about facing racial discrimination because of her name. So I was like, dang, what is her name? And I couldn't remember, or they never said it. I don't remember. But her name is Bruchandria. So she performing, Light Skin Keisha, Bruchandria. She performing at the little candy shop that Diana works at. Yeah, Diana works at. So Ashley was like, I didn't know Bruchandria was this good. She's like, did you know Ashley? I mean, Diana? Diana was like, I'm surprised you didn't know. They cheering her on. She's doing her little thing. I like how she did a little rap song about school. I mean, about like black girl magic, basically. So then we get this little Justin Combs cameo. He's like the announcer. He was like, give it up for Bruchandria. And then he calls out, he was like, Brother Salim, about to give us a poem. So Salim comes out, he gives this poem, and basically the poem saying that he was wrong for the way he was coming at Diana, especially while she was grieving, and he hopes that she could forgive him. That's basically what the poem said in a nutshell. So at the end of the poem, Salim was like, he called Diana out. He was like, this poem is about you, Diana. So Diana storms off to the back. Salim goes after her. He was like, what did he say? He was like, you're not going to acknowledge what I just did out there? So Diana was like, you wrote some corny ass poem. I'm not impressed. She was like, you wrote some corny ass poem. I'm not impressed. So Salim's like, I expected you to respect the fact that I went out there and put my heart out there for you. So Diana was like, I'm not one of your little groupies. Like, I'm not gonna sit around here and suck your dick. So Salim was like, oh, that's how you feel? You really gonna talk to me like that? Salim was like, it's true, ain't it? You fucking Tariq. remember Bruchandria, Ashley, and another student was coming out the dorm room. And it was like, she in there with a dude. So he was like, it's true, you fucking Tariq. So Diana was like, who I'm fucking is none of your business. She's like, and I pay you back some little funky ass books that you let me use. So Salim's like, I tried to help you, but I should have known better. He's like, the taint's already in your blood. It was only a matter of time before you start fucking a piece of shit drug dealing murderer like Tariq. And then Diana smacks the shit out of him. Ruthless, take notes, because that smack looked a little more real than the shit I be seeing on Ruthless. So she smacked the shit out of Salim. Where am I? Oh, yeah. She was like, fuck you, don't talk to me like that. So that's when he get real mad. He was like, I know you've been selling drugs out of the store. He's like, I'm going to enjoy seeing you squirm while I figure out what to do with it. I mean, what to do about it. So he was like, clear your shit out too. You fired. So he fires her. He was like, you're done. I was like, I mean, do she really need this job? Do she really? And she did stop, though. She did stop selling the drugs. Remember she told Tariq, that's what my father would have wanted? So she did stop. So then Tariq, he goes to Effie. And she like, what the fuck do you want? I was like, girl, you know you miss him. You know you miss that man. So Tariq was like, look, I need that picture of Noma's daughter, child, whatever. I'm trying to get us from under her. I'm trying to save us all. Get us from under her control. Effie was like, I'll give you the pictures back if you let me back in the business. I was like, oh, she really tried that. So Tariq was like, now why the fuck would I do that? I can't trust you. So Effie was like, she said, and I can't trust you to give me up as soon as you get the picture. So Tariq was like, you can't trust me? She was like, I told you in confidence that I was gonna get Effie out the city, and you went behind my back. So Effie says again, I was protecting you. Tariq was like, you was protecting yourself, as always. And once again, I'm trying to remember. Please, somebody comment, tell me. Was Effie on that wire too? Was she on that recording? I cannot remember. I don't think she was. But if she was, then she was definitely protecting herself too. But I can't remember, was Effie on that wire too? Or was it just Kane and Brayden? I don't remember. And Tariq. Was it just Kane, Brayden, and Tariq? I can't remember. So Effie says, I was protecting you. Tariq like, you was protecting yourself. Like, and finally, I don't know, I know the writers didn't watch my little review, but I did say something last episode about Tariq speaking of Lauren in present tense, like she was still alive, and I thought Effie was going to catch on to that, but she didn't. So then this episode, what's his name? Tariq finally speaks of Lauren in past tense to make it seem like she's still dead. So Tariq was like, you was protecting yourself as always. He was like, Lauren wasn't a threat. So he says Lauren wasn't a threat instead of Lauren isn't a threat. So he's like, Lauren wasn't a threat. He was like, you think you know everything all the time, but you didn't have to kill her. Effie was like, you're so weak that it hurts. She was like, that's why I had to take care of your little girlfriend. Because you couldn't. So Tariq was like, you so fucking damaged, bro. He was like, I don't know why I ever started fucking with you in the first place. And I said, why did you start by fucking with her after she got you kicked out of Cho? Like, she got you caught up at Cho, you still to stop fucking with her. I don't care if she follows you to Stanfield, seemed like the down ass. No. She was hot. She got your ass jammed up at Cho. That's when you don't fuck with a bitch like that. So he was like, I don't know why I kept fucking with you in the first place. Effie was like, get the fuck out of my room. So then we get this little scene. So apparently the if you remember when they first, what was the rich black dude's name? RSJ or something like that. When Lucas and them first met with him, these little tech people came and met Lucas in the hallway. They was some type of, and Lucas said I think they got him out of a lot of money or something like that. Some type of crypto dudes, crypto guys, a man and woman. So apparently they're the people that helped Brayden get this app, the Crash Coin jump up and running. So he on the phone with them. He's like, something's wrong with they telling him something's wrong with the app servers. So so they tell Brayden that the processors at Western Holdings are slowing them down from fixing the app servers. So Brayden was like, what's taking so long? Get it back up and running. Like get it together. Fix it. So they was like, damn, the whole entire system just went down. It was like they can rebuild it from the servers remotely. Brayden still saying, why y'all telling me all this? Just do it. So then Brayden like hears a noise or something, and he goes to check, and there's some guy, he's like carrying big bags of like shredded paper out of some room. Brayden, he goes downstairs to some room, and he's at Western Holdings. He finds some book. They don't really give us too much text on that whole part until later. And then we get this quick little scene. Effie goes upstairs to the little course correct lockers, and she sees the cameras that Jenny and them got put up there. She sees them immediately, backs up. Not quick enough though, because they caught her ass on camera. But she texts Kane and was like, she tells him like, his cameras up at the course correct lockers. She's like, we need to meet up. So now Tate and Tariq, they on the phone. And Tate was like, don't worry, Tariq, the Russians getting raided as we speak. Tariq's text Kane and all the group or whatever, tell them it's happening right now. Well, not the whole group, because you know Effie out. Brayden probably need to know, but not need to know in that moment. So then they show the LAPD/DEA, they raiding the Russians. And Tate giving a press conference about the raid. So then you got Blanca, Jenny, and this new face they done brung in. I guess he works for, I don't know, he's like an agent. I don't know who he works under. He may be Jenny, maybe Blanca, but he's in there with them. He's working with them on this RICO case. So Blanca and Jenny, they wondering like, how did Tate get that info on the Russians? So then Jenny says that the drugs from the Russians, Jamaica Queens, and the drugs they took out of the course correct blockers that Diana put in there are all different. They all different, she says. Seems like they're not connected. So Blanca was like, well, Tariq and Tate, they feed off each other, so it's some type of connection there. She's like, it's all related, I just don't know how. So Jenny was like, well, what if Tariq tipped off Tate? So an agent was like, well, that means nobody moving weight then. The Russians, nobody. So Blanca was like, Tariq still moving some weight, trust and believe. She was like, I bet my house that Tariq and Braden are selling drugs out of Western Holdings. And I would tell you, Blanca always be right about stuff. She always be right. But it's like without no evidence, she can't go nowhere with it. But she be right about most of the time. Most of the time, she be right. So Jenny was like, nah, we didn't have people watching watching them at Western Holdings. We ain't been saying nothing. So So Blanca was like, well, it's worth a follow-up. She was like, just because Braden and Tariq have been careful don't mean their clients have. So I was like, what does that mean? So Kane, he meets up with Effie. He give her this little bit of ass product. She's like, what the fuck is this? So Kane was like, well, we had to pull all our product off the street. So this was all I could give you right now. Effie was like, y'all got a whole fucking warehouse of product. What you mean? Kane was like, yeah, but Monet, she's sending it all out to the Ivy Leagues, the Wall Street and all that. He's like, so this is the best I can do right now. He was like, I can get you some more soon. She was like, man, I can't do soon. Like, my tuition is due now. So Kane pulls like a stack of money. He's like, how much you need? And I'm telling you, I don't know what it is, but I feel like Kane and Effie gonna end up talking. First, I was thinking Kane had no chance with Effie. But now, I don't know. So he pulls out a stack. He was like, how much you need? She was like, I'm not taking your money. Kane was like, well, I know Stansfield ain't cheap and you ain't got it right now. She was like, fuck you, Kane. He was like, I'm serious. Like, I know you. I mean, he was like, I won't even miss the money. So she was like, no again. She was like, I'm not gonna be your little charity case. And I was like, look at Kane's face. He looked even more turned on by that she don't need him. I mean, hey, you want a INPDENDENT? I was almost there too. That's sad. Anyway, we get this super short classroom scene. The professor, she's saying, this country's labor unions exchange back-breaking labor for fair wage from their employers. Yeah, they exchange back-breaking labor for fair wage from their employers. She says parents manage their children's careers in exchange for a lavish lifestyle. She says these agreements offer benefit to both sides. And she asks, does mutual benefit mean the deal is fair? And I'm going to chime in before I say what they said. No, I don't think so. I don't think it's fair. I'm not going to say too much on it, but I just feel like it always comes back to race. Like, who will make it in the end? Race, circumstances, things like that. That's all I'm going to say on that. But, so she asked, she was like, questions. So one student says, what'd she say? So a student says, there's no such thing as a fair deal as long as we live in an unequal society. Exactly. So Jackie says, Jackie, the dude, he was like, well, but we live in a free society, so everyone is allowed to say no, unless there's a gun involved. You can just hear his privilege. He was like, unless there's a gun involved, of course. So Diana was like, well, what do you consider a gun? She was like, power, information, leverage, all that could be considered as a weapon. And I was like, facts, Diana, speak on it. So then Salim chimes in. He's like, then maybe you shouldn't put yourself in harm's way. And I was like, look at him getting super personal. You're supposed to be the TA. Like, you're supposed to be setting the example, but whatever. So then Ashley was like, oh, so you blame the victim for the imbalances of our societal institutions created? So I was like, yeah, so you're going to just blame the victim for what they got to go through, what they came up experiencing, what they came up around? So Ashley was like, oh, that seems a little off brand for you, Brother Salim. So all the students started laughing. So Salim was like, well, it's true. Our society is unfair. He's like, but what my black single mother taught me was, when the boss lowballs you, you find another job. And he looks to Diana and was like, and when someone offers you a helping hand, you take it with gratitude. And I was just like, nigga, you wasn't offering a helping hand. You was criticizing her the whole time about her family and all that, and just talking down on her. So then Effie was like, well, that depends on motives. And then she turns to Tariq. And I'm like, this whole classroom scene getting personal. That's why I was super short. So she turns to Tariq and was like, what'd she say? She's like, because nobody is giving anything for free. She's like, nobody's giving anything for free, right? She's like, and by the time you figure that out, she was like, by the time you figure out what they really want, it's too late. Tariq ain't even looking at her. He's like, whatever, bitch. So then one day she calls Diana. She's like, why you ain't been answering your phone? Diana was like, I've been busy. My bad, Mom. So they kind of like in a better place ever since the Whitman situation. So Monet was like, well, what's wrong? Diana was like, well, school's a lot harder than I thought it would be. Monet was like, well, you'll find a way. You strong just like me, and you smart just like me. She was like, you can handle anything. So I was like, I like that they getting back to a good place. See, I be stuttering. Even though neither one of their ass can act that good. Although Diana did act good that one scene where she was drunk. And that table scene where she revealed Zeke was Monet's son. And Monet acted real good that time when she was at the table with Kane. And she was like, what you think I'm going to do it to you next? What, you scared? Good thing I didn't kill your father then. Those are like the best scenes that they acted their ass off in them scenes. But I'm glad they're getting back to a good scene. I mean, good space. So Diana was like, well, I'm just having problems with this guy. It's getting super messy. I was like, oh, you should have never told Monet that. So in this moment, Monet was like, well, what happened? Like, nobody fucks with my baby girl. She was like, who is he? I come up there and talk some sense into him, beat his ass, whatever she said. Diana was like, nah, I'm good. I'll handle him. She was like, I got this. She was like, I learned it from you, right? She was like, you told me everything I know. I got this. So Monet was like, all right, be careful. She was like, and they say I love you, whatever. So then Saxe, he goes to Davis. And he tells Davis that he was like, one of the parole board members is dirty. And that's how we're going to get Rollins out. Like exposing them, bribery or whatever you want to call it. So Davis was like, well, that's just 1 out of 3 parole board members. And Saxe was like, well, the other ones, super jaded. They just going to rubber stamp anything. The loudest voice in the room wins at the end of the day. So Davis was like, I don't know, man. He's like, I'm all for greasing the hands that can help. Or greasing a few well-placed palms. That's what he said. He's like, but this is a government official. He was like, if we get caught, it's serious consequences. But Saxe was like, he was like, you know what? He was like, I'll do it. He was like, to make sure that this will work, I'll make the approach myself. He was like, all I need from you is the go-ahead. So Davis was like, whatever it takes to get my brother out. So Saxe was like, all right, I'm gonna need a large amount of cash. He was like, a large amount of cash. He was like, and I'm gonna need it fast. So Davis was like, not a problem. Opens up his little drawer, filled with money. And I was like, damn, can Saxe see that? He kind of looks, but you couldn't tell. I wish they would have gave us, like, let us know, did Saxe see that? That's what I wanted to know. But they never gave us that. I didn't know if Saxe seen it or not. So as Tariq's leaving Weston Holdings, he asked Braden, he was like, what you still doing here? He was like, what you still doing here? Braden was like, why? Because they're not supposed to be on good terms. So Braden like, why you in my business? Tariq was like, well, you usually the first one out of here. You know, Tariq, he don't like suspicious stuff. So he says to Braden, what is this, a piece of weed? Yeah. So Braden was like, I'm working on a special project for Lucas, for his uncle. Tariq was like, yeah, whatever. Then leaves. I was like, what you asking for then? And Braden's still making the face looking at this book that they still don't tell us what it is yet. So then Tariq, he steady texting Lauren. He like, I need to talk to you, Lauren. Like, I want you to trust me. Whatever, this, that, and the third. Texting her, she's not texting back. And while he's texting her, he's outside of Weston Holdings. It's this fake homeless guy who we found out later is the little agent that's working with Blanca and Jenny. But he playing a homeless guy. He digging through their trash, and he found one of the little baggies with the little logo on it. So it looked like Tariq seen him, and he seen Tariq. I don't know. It was a weird scene. I was just like, what did Tariq see? I don't know. And then you get this quick little scene. Sachs paying off somebody, probably the government official. Remember, Davis was like, these government officials we playing with. So then we get this scene that I did not see coming. Diana, she comes into the little candy store that Salim just fired her from. He was like, you should leave before I call the cops. She was like, I ain't worried about that. She was like, I figure we both have secrets and we don't want them getting out. So she was like, what if your little flunkies knew that their little hero, Salim, that she says his whole name, fake name apparently, she was like, was actually Trevor Nelson from Silver Spring, Maryland. So I was like, oh, this nigga got a whole, I was like, what, he in witness protection? So Salim was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So Diana was like, okay, since you want to play dumb, she opens up the little book she came in there with, start putting pictures on the table. She was like, I wasn't sure at first, but you are not photogenic. Start putting pictures. She was like, it's a picture from your prep school yearbook. It's a picture from your equestrian competition where you ride horses, whatever. Child, you know I ain't know that name before this. You know I ain't know that word before this episode. She's like, this picture's from your equestrian competition. She was like, and this is the last one, my favorite. She was like, this is a picture of your adoptive parents that adopted you when you was a baby. She was like, they right here taking, they had a fundraiser for Trump. But she said they had a fundraiser for this orange motherfucker. So I thought that was funny. She's like, they had a fundraiser for this orange motherfucker. She was like, I gotta say, Salim, I did not see that coming. So she was like, I gotta say, Salim, I did not see that coming. So she was like, you talk about your single mother, your black single mother. She was like, where's the struggle, Trevor? She was like, where's the struggle, Trevor? So Salim, aka Trevor, he swipes the pictures off the table. He took him some, so what? That don't mean shit. He was like, Trevor Nelson is in my past. And Diana was like, and I can make it become your present and your future. How about that? So Salim was like, fine, you win. He was like, I won't say anything. He was like, are we good? So Diana was like, nope, not yet. She was like, due to the fact that you're a trust fund baby, she was like, you're going to reduce your hours and give shifts to students that actually need the money. She was like, and I'm going to need a raise too, because, you know, I've been working so hard. So Monet, Drew, and Kane, they show up at Kai's spot. And I didn't know what was about to happen. I thought she was about to build an alliance. I didn't know what was going to happen. So they show up the Kai's spot. And Monet was like, Drew, you stay in the car because you and Kai had words. And I don't think he going to want you. He don't need to see you right now. So then Monet trying to, she trying to gas Kane up. And he already know this. She's like, you always been my right-hand man. I can always count on you to keep the family safe. She's like, but everything depends on you just following my lead tonight. There's no questions asked. Kane laughed and was like, there you go, doing that thing you like to do. Trying to manipulate me to do whatever you want. He was like, I'm going to need more than that. So she was like, you right. I need to start treating you like the man you've become. She was like, but right now, I ain't got time to explain all that. She be trying to cut it short. Monet don't like the emotions. So she says that, she was like, I told you and Drew what was going to happen here tonight. And she was like, I just need you to trust that I'm going to say, she's like, I just need, she said? She's like, I need you to trust that I'm going to save the family. Yeah, to save their family. She was like, you gonna help me or not? And then she walks towards Cal or whatever. She be just trying to cut it short. So Monet was like, oh, you shut the whole place down for me? I'm flattered. He gives her a drink. He was like, oh, you got jokes. He was like, no, this is an after hours spat. And he was like, it ain't open yet. So Cal was like, you sure, Kane don't want to come in here? So Monet was like, nah, me and Kane got into it. She was like, so let him stay outside. She was like, plus I don't want him to hear what I got to say. So Monet was like, I want a partnership, Kai. And Kai was like, well, what do I get out of this partnership? Monet was like, well, what you always wanted. So I was like, really, Monet? That's what you about to do? So Kai was like, it's too soon. Your family wouldn't like that. Monet was like, well, that's why they not in this room right now. Why? That's why it's just me and you. So she was like, and let me tell you something. She was like, when Lorenzo was locked up, I held the business down. But then when he got out, he kicked me out of the business. So she was like, so trust me, I'm not really grieving him right now. So Kyle was like, well, that was his mistake. Yeah, he was like, that was Lorenzo's mistake. He was like, you always been the brains. We always knew that. Monet was like, well, now you know what you'll get from this partnership. She was like, my business, my mind. And then she grabs the back of his head and was like, and the rest of me. And I was just like, no. So Cal was like, I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for years to hear you say that. So I was like, oh, this nigga been slimy. He been plotting for her while she was with Lorenzo. So, where am I? So right when he was like, yeah, I've been waiting to hear you say that my whole life. So he moves in to kiss her or whatever. And then gunshots go off. So Kai hops up and Monet like reaches for a knife, but Kai sees her. So they start struggling, going back and forth or whatever. And then eventually Kai gets on top of Monet. He's like choking her out. Or something to that extent. He's like, you two-timing bitch. So then Kane comes in, pops Kai in the head. And Monet was like, Drew was supposed to wait for my signal. Kane was like, well, his people almost had to drop on me, so we had to do what we had to do. He was like, you good though? Monet was like, yeah, I'm good. She was like, I'm glad you came in when you did. I can always depend on you. I was like, look at her. Still be trying to just say anything. I mean, that's her son, but yeah. I don't know why my nose keep itching. It's funny. So she was like, she tells Kane to go check on Drew. And while he does that, while he go checks on Drew, Monet uses Cat's phone to text the number. And she was like, she say? She texts the number and says the Russians, she says, it says I think they know the Russians didn't kill Lorenzo and we need to talk. That's what she sends from Kai's phone. So then she puts the phone back in Kai's pocket. And then Drew and Kane come back in. So Monet was like, Drew, I thought you were supposed to wait for my signal. Drew was telling him, like, look, we couldn't wait. A car pulled up for Kai. We had to move. Monet was like, all right, we'll just clean this shit up. Then Kai's phone vibrates. And then Drew, he takes the phone. He reads the message. And that's when I realized, I was like, oh, Monet, a sneaky motherfucker. So, of course, he reads the message and apparently a text back from a number that I didn't realize was Gordo at the end. It says, well, I just spoiled it, it's Gordo. But the number text back and said, all right, when you want to meet or something like that. So that's when Drew was like, Kai killed Poppy, because Kane was like, what? What's on the text message? And Drew was like, Kai killed Poppy. So that's when Monet was like, well, Kai was too pussy to be doing this by himself to handle Lorenzo on his own. He had to be working with somebody. She was like, so find out whoever it is that texts back and take him out. She always talking about for the family. This is not Fast and Furious. Dominique Toretto, whatever. She was like, make sure it's handled for the family. Kane was like, you know, we got it. We're going to handle it. So we get this little scene with Effie, and I'm assuming this is a financial advisor or whatever for the school. So she telling Effie all the loans. I guess Effie was trying to get a loan. She's like, all our loans are at capacity. Effie's like, I'm so sorry. It's just been an adjustment here. I promise I'll get the tuition paid. So then the woman was like, well, let me look up your file. So she was like, well, it says that your tuition is paid through the end of the term. So she was like, well, let me go get a hard copy so you can have it for yourself. And while the woman walks off, Effie texts Kane and was like, I told you I wasn't your fucking charity case. So Kane texts back, you welcome. And then Effie smiles. So that's why I was like, she might be talking to him sooner or later. So then Monet and Drew and Kane, they show up to the Russians. And I was like, oh, snap. But I like how Monet played this. That was crazy. So the Russian dude, he was like, y'all got some balls coming up in here. So Monet was like, we got a peace offering. So Kane sets the cooler on the table. Russian dude opens it up. It's Kai's head in there. So the Russian dude was like, well, I appreciate the gesture, but this is your ally. Why would you kill your own ally? So Monet was like, well, Kai actually set us both up. He was like, he the one that killed Lorenzo and he tried to frame y'all for it. She telling the Russian dude this. She was like, and he was hoping that we would take each other out. She was like, and plus his breath stank. I was like, I just feel like that was there for comedic relief, but that was hilarious. She was like, and plus his breath stank. So then Monet was like, well, now that our mutual enemy is dead, is we gonna call the truce? And the Russian dude, he shakes his head yes. He nods yes. And the Tejadas leave. And I'm just like, is this the end between the Russians and the Tejadas? I don't know. Because they still got to kill one. The Tejadas still got to kill one of the Russians. And the Russians ain't get to take none of the... I mean, they took some corner boys. But it's like nobody important. Nobody from the actual cast. The immediate cast. So I was like, how important is it? I don't know. I mean, how much is this beef really squashed? I don't know. So Davis, he done finally got his brother out. He was like, I'm going to have a beer for both of us. I know you don't want to tank. You about to go into the little program. The little clinical trial. So Rollins don't look happy. So then we found out why. He was like, Davis was like, you haven't said anything since you got out. He was like, I know it's overwhelming. He passed him on the back. Like, I promise you'll get used to it. Rollins was like, nah, get off me, man. He was like, it was no way I was getting paroled. He was like, it was no way I was getting paroled with the answers that I gave to Sachs. He was like, those questions, the way I gave my answers, it was no way I was getting paroled. He was like, you did something, didn't you, Davis? So Davis was like, look, the most important thing is you're out, right? So Rollins was like, look, I took the fall for you because you was going to be somebody. He was like, now your ass could go to prison. He was like, now you could go to prison. And Davis was like, well, what was I supposed to do? Just let you die in prison? And Rollins was like, well, if you go to prison, then me being locked up during all that time was for nothing. He was like, you basically don't care about my life. I get both sides. Like, Davis can't let his brother die in jail if it's something that he can do about it, even if it's dirty or not. But I get where Rollins coming from. I did all this for you, so if you're going to keep doing dirty shit just to get me out, then what did I do all this for? So I get both sides. So he was like, she was like, what was I supposed to do? Let you die in prison? Rollins was like, well, he was like, this will be all for nothing then. Like, my life don't mean shit to you. Davis tried to say something. He cut him off and was like, man, just take me to the treatment facility and don't even bother visiting me. And I was like, damn. He did all this to get his brother out. Now his brother don't even want to, like, fuck with him. Like I said, I get both sides. So, Jenny, Blanca, and the agent dude, they cheers him because he done found the little baggie in they trash. And he was like, they said that the baggie matches the drugs from the Jamaica Queens. I'm assuming it was the Castillos. I don't know. But Jamaica Queens drug dealers or whatever. And it matches the drugs that they got off Diana in the course correct locker. So they was like, that means that the drugs that the Tejadas selling and the drugs that's on Wall Street and Stansfield are the same, are connected. So then the agent was like, well, it sounds like a RICO to me. And Jenny was like, and more good news. So then she shows the picture of Effie. She was like, and this is the new person that showed up to the course correct lockers. They say Effie's name. She was like, and she's the prime suspect in Lauren's death. And then she says, then she reveals that Lauren is alive and well. She's like, who is alive and well, by the way, and ready to testify. So then Blanca was like, oh, you sneaky bitch. She was like, because Blanca probably knew Jenny had something but wasn't trying to say nothing. But it was like, good thing Jenny left that in her pocket. But I mean, Sachs knew. Tariq knows, so it's kind of like how much does Blanca just the new one finding out. She was like, you sneaky bitch. She was like, I'm ready to take this to Medina. I'm assuming Medina is her boss. They never show Medina on this episode. They just say her. I mean, they just speak of Medina. I don't know if Medina, guy, girl, whatever. So then Lauren finally answers the phone. Tariq was like, I was worried about you because you wasn't answering. Lauren was like, sure, whatever, Tariq. You know, she still just ain't buying it or whatever. I'm like, then why do you keep talking to him then if you ain't buying it? Just leave him alone and just do the investigation against him. No matter how much you blow your phone up, block him. So she tells Tariq on the phone, I can't talk long because they're about to move me. And Tariq was like, oh, they about to move me. He was like, oh, that means they moving forward with your case. He was like, shit. So he was like, look, I got proof that you can trust me. He was like, she was like, what is it? And he was like, I just need you to meet up with me somewhere. I need to show you in person. So she was like, I can't, Tariq. So Tariq was like, look, both our futures are at stake. I need you to meet with me before you go with them. He was like, just 5 minutes, I promise. He was like, 5 minutes, please. So they don't show Lauren's answer, but we found out at the end, of course, it was wild how they met up. But then, so Drew and Gordo, they laid up in bed. Drew was like, what'd he say? He was like, Drew was like, I can't believe you got your family to go back on that deal. And Drew was like, Gordo was like, oh, if I knew you like business, I would have talked business more often. And Drew was like, well, how did you convince your brothers? Gordo was like, well, I just told him that our word is our bond, and if we can't stay true to that, then this ain't where I belong at. So Drew was like, you was willing to give up your family for our agreement? And Gordo was like, you don't think you worth it? So they getting all close. They have this conversation about being a couple. It's wild as hell. Because right after that, but yeah, so he was like, you don't think you worth it? And Drew was like, what'd he say? Drew was like, so are we like serious? And Gordo was like, ain't that shit obvious? So they say they're a serious couple right in this moment. Gordo was like, ain't that shit obvious? So Drew smiled. He was like, I guess so. They smile, they kissing. I think one of them gets a text message or something. Gordo, he gets out of the bed, go in the shower, get in the shower. Gordo gets the text message. But he gets the text message while he's already in the shower, so he don't hear it, of course. Drew does get a text message. He texts somebody and said he on his way. So then Gordo's phone vibrates. And it's the text message that we saw on Kai's phone. And it's him text, and Gordo is the one that texts back and said we need to meet up. So he dropped the phone. He looking at Gordo mad as hell, angrily. He goes over there to grab his gun without hesitation. Because I thought this was going to be hard for Drew. It kind of was. He goes over there. He hesitates for a minute. Then Gordo finally sees him holding the gun. I'm pointing this way like somebody can see my hand. But he holding the gun at Gordo, points it at him. He was like, I trusted you, Gordo. Gordo tries to say something. He shoots Gordo right in the heart. Then Kane runs in. Drew was like, Gordo, he killed Poppy. He's so upset. They just had that conversation about being a couple. He thought it was real. He even told his mother, like, I think we could be something. So, Kane Drew's super emotional, so Kane consoling him or whatever. Drew get home, still super emotional. Monet was like, it's done. Kane was like, it's handled. And Monet goes to continue to console Drew. She's like, I'm so sorry. Drew's steady balling in her arms or whatever the case may be. Where am I? So then we finally found out what was in this book. So Braden's showing Kiki the book that he's been looking at all day. That they never showed us what it was. Seems like the entire firm is a giant Ponzi scheme. So Kiki was like, calm down. You only been here for 5 minutes. You don't know anything. So he was like, I'm looking at two separate sets of books with different deposits and withdrawals. He was like, even the balance sheets don't add up. He was like, and what's with the secret staircase that leads to the little secret room with the shredding the files and stuff? He was like, that's like a Madoff setup. I haven't seen that documentary. Is it good? Somebody let me know in the comments. I might watch it. I'm not gonna review it, but yeah. So he was like, this is a Madoff setup. So Kiki was like, well, we'll discuss this in the morning. She's trying to let it go. Brady was like, this can't wait till the morning. He was like, I'm going to go talk to Lucas about it. I'm going to go talk to my uncle. He storms out. So then Brady, he goes to Lucas. So Lucas was like, is this firm a giant Ponzi scheme? He chuckling. He's like, do you realize we've been the pillar of a financial industry for generations? He's like, we comply with, I don't know what onerous means. He was like, we comply with onerous reporting obligations, the SEC and other government agencies. Braden was like, well, all that means is that it's a well-oiled Ponzi scheme. Lucas starts clapping and was like, you right. And Braden was like, fuck. You know, when he say that, he about to be just saying anything at that moment. So he was like, fuck. So he was like, I didn't want to be right. Braden was like, I didn't want to be right. So he was like, does my dad know about this? So Lucas was like, nah, it's all me, buddy. He was like, I saved our family from ruin. He was like, you should be thanking me. So Lucas asked Braden, he was like, who else did you tell about these documents? So I thought Braden was going to tell him Kiki, because that's Lucas's assistant, and she probably already, I figured she already knew. That's why she was brushing it off anyway when he brought it to her. So he tells Lucas in this moment, nobody. I didn't show it to nobody. So Lucas was like, you suck at lying. So then he calls Kiki in there. Kiki was like, yes, Lucas? He was like, oh, is this about the documents that Braden showed me? Lucas was like, oh, cut the shit, Kiki. He was like, you don't have to pretend anymore. So then Braden was like, you was in on this too, Kiki? So Lucas was like, her and a few others helped me keep the operation going along. And Braden was like, how? How does this operation go? So Kiki was like, well, through creative record keeping. Like, you should know about this, Braden. He's like, you've seen it for yourself. So Lucas was like, well, we keep everybody in the dark by bringing in new investors to keep our accounts flush, to keep the accounts looking nice. He was like, and that's the trick. He was like, Lucas was like, if you do it right, no one will ever know. Braden was like, somebody always ends up holding the bag in the end. He was like, you guys are fucking criminals. So Lucas looked at Kiki, they laughed. Lucas was like, is he calling us fucking criminals? He's like, when him and Tariq are running a drug operation under my roof. So then Tariq looks at Kiki like, this snitching bitch, whole time. So he was like, you opened your fucking mouth, Kiki, and said you wouldn't? So then Kiki was like, well, we already knew from the beginning. I just wanted to hear you say it from your mouth. So I was like, oh, so they knew from the jump when the operation first started that they already knew about the operation. But Kiki just wanted to hear him admit it. I was like, I hope she ain't got his ass on the wire. She ain't have his ass on the wire. So Lucas was like, well, I was kind of hoping you would have did the same thing you did at Stansville that you did here at Western. I was hoping that you would do the same thing that you did at Stansville here at Western Holdings. So now I see why Lucas was so cool with Braden when Braden first got there. He was like, I love what you. He was like, what you did was brilliant when Braden first got there. He was like, I don't know about you going to stand in the open court, but what you did was brilliant with the whole course correct thing. So the whole time he was running the whole Ponzi scheme and wanted Braden to like involve himself basically. But instead, Braden did something behind his back without his knowledge, but he already knew. So he was like, yeah, I was hoping you was going to do the same thing you did at Stansville here at Western Holdings. Lucas was like, plus with all this sweet undocumented cash, he was like, that would keep our gig going that much longer. Braden was like, look, I'm going to need that money back that I invested from the Tejadas, and I'm going to need Tariq's trust fund back. Lucas was like, well, that's not how this works. He was like, you keep your fucking mouth shut. Because he was like, because if any of this gets out, it destroys your fucking family. He was like, Lucas was like, no one has to lose in this situation. So I'm assuming they're going to let Braden keep his little business going. But Tariq loses because he don't get his trust fund. The Tejadas lose, they don't get their money they invested. And Braden told Kane that he was so sure. But that was before he knew, so he was like, no one has to lose. Lucas was like, no one has to lose. He gets up, and before he walks out, he turns to Braden and was like, he's like, oh, in case you try to, I don't know who Rachel Dolezal is. He's like, before you try to Rachel Dolezal me, I don't know who that is. Somebody tell me in the comments. He's like, before you try to Rachel Dolezal me, I assure you my prison will be a lot nicer than yours. So I'm like, I don't know what that means. I feel like Rachel Dolezal is that woman that said she was black and like tanned herself, but she was actually white. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be super wrong. I don't know. I'm assuming she's not in this situation, but that name sounds familiar. I probably heard of the story, don't remember anymore because it was so long ago, but yeah, Rachel Dolezal. So Lucas leaves and Braden was like, oh, so you was using me the whole time, Kiki. Kiki was like, well, not the entire time. I was like, this bitch. And I liked it, Kiki. I was upset. She was one of the ones I wasn't even worried about. I was so upset when I found this out. She was like, not the entire time. She was like, I actually like you. Braden was like, fuck you, Kiki. I was like, yeah, fuck you, Kiki. She was like, it isn't all that bad. We don't have to lie to each other anymore. She's like, we're in this together now. Braden ain't say shit, so he walked out on her ass. I was like, yeah, I ain't fucking with her because, like, nah. He was feeling you. Braden be falling hard, too. That's a problem with him. Him and Drew, they fall too quick and easy. So then we get this scene, Tariq paying this DEA agent officer for his badge, his hat, and his jacket. So I'm like, oh, what are you about to do? So then they show this building. Blanca and Lauren, they get out the SUV. It's like 6 agents with them. They coming in the building. So Blanca telling the agent, she's like, I'm going to go talk to Medina first, her boss, I'm assuming. She's like, I'm going to go talk to Medina first, and then y'all bring Lauren up. So the officer was like, okay. So then Blanca steps off, and Lauren was like, do I have time to use the bathroom? They was like, yeah. So she goes in the bathroom, and Tariq comes out, dressed as DEA. So I was like, why is he dressed as DEA? Just to be in the bathroom. But I guess he had to get in the building to do that, I guess. Oh, that's probably why he had to get in the building. So he had to be DEA to get in the building. Or probably just had to use his badge, just the dude badge. So Tariq's in the bathroom. He comes out. So Lauren was like, you need to hurry up because they about to take me upstairs. She was like, where's this proof that you talked about? So Tariq pulls his phone out. And when he went to see Effie earlier about getting the painting of Noma's daughter, he was recording her. So he plays the recording of Effie saying, that's why I had to kill your little girlfriend because you couldn't do it yourself because you're weak and all that. So Lauren was like, okay, I believe you. I was like, I ain't take that much convincing for her ass. She's super sweet. So she was like, I believe you. She was like, but it's too late. Like, the feds are building a RICO case about you, against you. And the Tejadas. So Tariq was like, a RICO case? And I was like, see, you should have been mentioned this to him. Because she knew about the RICO case, I think, from the jump. I think. Or she at least found out through Sachs. I don't remember. But she found out before this moment, so she could have been told him that. But she tells him in this moment it's too late. They're building the RICO case against you. Oh, no, you know what? They ain't have enough for the RICO case until they found that little baggie outside of Western Holdings. So that's why she probably didn't know about the RICO case being brought up until they got to this building. Because it was just Blanca, Jenny, and that agent in the office together when they talked about bringing the RICO case up to Blanca's boss. So, yeah, she was like, it's too late. The feds are building a RICO case against you and the Tejadas. And Tariq was like, what do they have on me? And Lauren was like, well, evidence on the drug business and all the murders that was done to sustain the drug business, this, that, and the third. She was like, it's all about to happen right now. She was like, including my murder too. Like, all this, the murders that were done to sustain the drug business, including mine too. She was like, it's all about to happen right now. Tariq was like, man, you got to find a way for us to get out of this shit so we can get back to our regular lives. He's still trying to put this pen and say this stuff to Lauren. But I think deep down, Tariq, yeah, he does. He wants to get back to his regular life too. So Lauren was like, okay, you're right. She was like, you're right. Plus, she was like, witness protection is not, it's just one street to oblivion. It ain't gonna be nothing for real. Like, that ain't gonna really keep you safe. So she was like, I'm gonna give you as much time as you need. She was like, I'm gonna give you as much time as I can get you. Tariq was like, thank you. He was like, how did Sachs not know about the fucking RICO case? That's crazy. So Lauren was like, he did. She was like, he's working with the feds. So Tariq was like, Sachs is a fucking mo. I should have fucking knew it. So then we get this final scene. The Tejadas, they sitting down for dinner. You know, they talking about how good the food is, pass the cornbread, all that good stuff. And then the DEA, along with Jenny and Blanca, they bust in there. Monet was like, what the hell y'all coming in? Like, this shit better be good. This, that, and the third. Jenny was like, oh, will a warrant suffice? She holding up the warrant. Then Blanca goes over there to Diana. She was like, you under arrest for possession with intent to distribute. She reading Diana her rights. And Monet like, don't you talking to my daughter that way? She was like, don't worry, Diana. Don't say nothing. We coming to get you. Don't worry about it. So I feel like this is the moment where Kane should tell them that there was cameras at the course correct locker. Oh, no. I just thought about it. Kane probably don't know that Diana put them drugs at the course correct locker because Tariq told her it was okay to put them there. So they locked Diana up, walk around when they was like, don't say nothing. So Drew was like, what is y'all talking about? Like locking my sister up. And they ignoring Drew. They don't say nothing else. And that's how it ends. And I was just like, damn, they got Diana off them drugs and the course correct lockers. You see, they ain't locked nobody else up. So that's all they got is they got Diana. They're gonna lock them Jamaica dudes up, and I guess what they gonna do about the Western Holdings thing. But now this is crazy. That's why I said I needed on an A+, because now Tariq knows that Saxe is dirty. So now he could tell. Now he could tell Davis. And we found out that Salim is a trust fund baby adopted by a white family that's Trump supporters. That was crazy. I finally figured out light-skinned Keisha's name, so that was crazy. Diana got locked up. That was crazy. Kai got killed. I didn't see that coming, so that's why I said A+ power, A+. That was lit. Predictions for episodes to come. Shoot, they got Diana now. I feel like they about to lock up Braden and Tariq too for the Western Holdings situation. But I'm like, how much proof do they have toward that they don't want selling out of there? Because all they got is like a baggie with probably a client's fingerprints. I don't know. But they got these connections. They got Effie on camera. They're gonna bring Effie in. What is Lauren gonna do to stop this RICO case? Because she told Tariq, I'm gonna give you as much time as I can. So what's she gonna do there? What else? I hope it all come busting back in their face, Jenny and Blanca. I don't want them to win, of course. They pigs. But yeah, episodes to come. Yeah, like I said, Diana in jail now. I wonder how we're gonna see what we're gonna see about that. What if Salim come to see her? We don't need that scene. We don't need that. They probably gonna talk about it in the classroom. Diana got that clink clink. But yeah, those are my little predictions for episodes to come. We only got what's this? This is episode 7. I think they do 10 episodes, so I think we got 3 episodes left. So those are my little predictions. Yeah, thanks for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel. Please do those things. If you want to, you can hit the share button and the notification bell. Those are just wants. But the needs are the likes and the subscribes. And yeah, please comment below what you thought of the show. If I missed anything, if I was off on anything, what you thought about what I talked about, all that good stuff. What you would grade the show, all that stuff. And yeah, I will see y'all next time. Peace.